Let's talk about some letters. F. Donald Trump gets an F for the first 100 days. F on the economy. F on foreign affairs. F on national security. F on basic professionalism and confidence. F on everything. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about some C's today, like cognitive decline. C for cognitive decline. It's on full display with Donald Trump. It's accelerating. Corporate news doesn't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it here on the MeidasTouch Network. Another C, Donald Trump's cabinet disaster. Have you seen this cabinet meeting? It was Kim Jong-un meets the worst season of The Apprentice that was too bad it could never even be released. Let's talk about the collaborators like state regime media Fox and this new group that the Trump regime is cultivating. They call them the new media, and they have a whole room from them in the White House. It looks like a bad SNL skit. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about another C, the courts, what's going on there, standing up against Donald Trump. A federal judge in the Southern District of Texas ruled that Donald Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act is unlawful. And I think we got to talk about change. C for change. What are Democrats doing to bring about change and fighting back? We hosted on the MeidasTouch Network a town hall with 4 governors. It was an incredible event that we held earlier this week. Many of you attended. We'll show some clips of that and more. And Brett and Jordy, welcome to the MeidasTouch Podcast. There's another C I should talk about as well, which is central planning. As you look at what the Trump regime is doing, it looks like Soviet-style central planning with the exemptions where oligarchs show up, try to pass loyalty and purity tests to the party to get their exemptions while we, the people, suffer. It's just odd. You have the U.S. behaving like the USSR or how China used to behave, and now you have China behaving the way the USA used to behave. And then you have Howard Lutnick and all of Donald Trump's advisors saying, we want to bring the low-paying manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. And China's like, why would you want to do that? We're trying to get your economy and bring your jobs to China. All of this and more on the MeidasTouch Podcast today.
What's up, Ben? What's up, Jordy? What's up, Midas, Mighty, everybody watching and listening? Oh my gosh, it's been an absolutely bizarre week, to say the least. Another week of chaos. And we're in a place right now where just the objective data is so horrific by every single metric. Ben, you already did the letters. I'm not going to go through the letters again, but on all the letters that Ben mentioned, everything is so horrific that they just need to start. They just lie. They just lie about everything. They didn't start lying. They've been lying about everything, but they just literally make up things. The economy's terrible. They say it's great. Prices are up. They say prices are down. The sky is blue. They say the sky is green. It's just lie after lie after lie, and they get more and more ridiculous. And right now, Ben, you're right. When I watch these press briefings, and especially like this new media briefing that they have where they bring in these MAGA propagandists into the Oval Office, these really just odd, weird people to speak and just spread the White House propaganda. It is one of the cringiest things that I have ever seen. And part of it's like a little kind of funny to watch. You're like, this is so just weird and odd. But then you're like, oh no, this is like the president of the United States though. So like it would be funny if this was an SNL sketch, but this is real life. And this is just North Korea shit. This is Russia shit. And it is actually horrifying to watch. Ben, I want to give you a shout out for your incredible job moderating the first ever Democratic governor town hall hosted here on the MeidasTouch Network. And I want to thank everybody out there who watched and listened to the Democratic governor town hall. It's available right now on the MeidasTouch Podcast. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It's also on our YouTube channel. And thank you to everybody who submitted your incredible questions. I hope that you got a chance to actually be aired and speak directly to the governor. I thought that was super cool, a way to get the Meidas Mighty directly in touch with some of the people leading our nation. Jordy, good to see you. How you doing over there?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to dive into the show. But Benji, I just want to echo Brett's sentiments there, man. Great job moderating that town hall. Meidas Mighty, thank you all for submitting questions. They were fantastic questions. The governors absolutely loved it. We're going to have to do that more. That's it. We're going to have to do it more. The response was overwhelming. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm excited to get into the show tonight. Benji, where do you want to start us off?
Well, thanks for everybody to subscribing to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. That's where we took a lot of those video questions from. Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, does an incredible job there at MeidasPlus.com. So just a plug at the beginning of the show. Go to MeidasPlus.com and hit subscribe. Brett, you talk about all of the lies. Let's just talk about a few. Donald Trump saying that gas is now down to $1.89, that it's never been lower. That's just objectively false. It's in the mid threes and higher in many places in the country. Donald Trump says that egg prices are down 87%, the lowest it's ever been. That is false. Egg prices are up. Donald Trump says that he's already done 200 deals with countries, 200 of them. Not true. Not even 200 countries that exist in the world. Donald Trump claims that he's spoken with Xi Jinping and that they were making progress. Totally false. And China has said, why would we ever deal with you all? Like, we don't even know who to even communicate with, because it seems that the Treasury Secretary, the Commerce Secretary, whatever Peter Navarro is, and everybody else are fighting with each other and saying a ton of different things. And then you have the economy contracting. Our economy is shrinking. The first quarter GDP results are in. They were negative 0.3%. And we'll see what happens next quarter. But Donald Trump was already blaming former President Biden at that debacle of a cabinet meeting and in the Oval Office for next quarter's results. Should be noted that Donald Trump took credit when Donald Trump was not in office for former President Biden's economy. He said this was the Trump economy back in 2024, and that the markets were doing great because of Donald Trump, not because of the person actually in charge. And now, on April 30th, Donald Trump said this is the Biden market. This is the Biden economy. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Dude, you've been in there now for 100 days. This is clearly your economy. This was your disastrous trade war against the world, which somehow also included penguins, with a made-up formula about for these tariffs using the deficit as a metric. I don't even know what you're doing. And now we are living the pain of Donald Trump's policies. Also, Donald, if tariffs are working so well and we're getting so rich, then why are you trying to do trade deals to get rid of them if they're working so well? Also, if they're working so well, why are you extorting and threatening businesses and saying it's a political hostile act for them to list the additional cost of goods and products to the consumer on their websites caused by tariffs? I thought you said this was all great and this would not be the case. So that doesn't really seem consistent and logical to me, but none of it does. I want to be clear when we go through this next topic and talk about Donald Trump's accelerating cognitive decline. It's important that we address it, but also acknowledge that Donald Trump should never, ever be able to use it as a way to avoid accountability, because in his mind, he's going to go there eventually. Maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the information will be, well, the reason why it all went down is because Donald Trump had all of these cognitive issues. And the press focused all of this attention on former President Biden. And for years, that's what they always wanted to try. Well, right now, more than ever, that's what they want to talk about over and over and over again. But it's staring us in the face what's going on with Donald Trump. I just want to take what's happened just over the past few days. Can we just take a look at some of these examples? Like earlier, when Donald Trump held a press conference at a national prayer breakfast, and he said that the Philadelphia Eagles were here yesterday when they were here on Monday, not yesterday. Let's play this clip.
I had Ohio State here, and I had yesterday the Philadelphia Eagles here. So they took up a little more room than Gary. I got very good at this.
Then Donald Trump is talking about how he got Palestinians to vote for him and Muslims to vote for him. And he tells this bizarre story about imams talking about, do you want to die? And I talked about virgins. And just listen to what he's saying here. Play this clip.
Imams, who I got to know in Michigan, I loved them. They were great, by the way. They said, we don't want to die. I said, you want to die? They said, we don't want to die. They said, what about the 38 virgins? They say, that's nonsense. We don't know anything about it. And we won the state of Michigan, Speaker, by and we had tremendous support. But we have.
Goes, Imam, and do you see the people behind him? Like it's basically, all right, what am I saying? Okay, keep talking. And then Donald Trump at this national prayer breakfast kept on talking about how every election is rigged and everything is rigged. Here, watch this.
Very, very special day coming up. You know, we have a lot of them during this term. And interestingly, I had none of them had I not had a rigged election. Had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone. The radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally. But no, now they have me for another 4 years. We talk about that. And in the other...
Is he like huffing and puffing like that? And here, and look, I'm not trying to, I really am not, I'm just trying to say, are we all watching this? Like, that's what I'll show you a clip when I asked Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, like, and he said, I get asked this all the time, Ben. I'll show you the clip in a little bit, not right now, but he goes, and he goes, it's a fair question. Like, we're all observing it. It's almost like what Senator Bernie Sanders told me, that sometimes the significant issues that everybody's talking about is what the news is like never talking about. Here, Donald Trump is talking to his audience about how he talks with kings and queens and prime ministers who show up in the Oval Office. Here, play this clip.
You are this unbelievable setting. I think no setting like it in the world. When you add up the importance, I take people into the Oval Office, and the biggest people, foreign leaders, princes, kings, queens, and presidents and prime ministers, and a couple of dictators, I guess. They don't say that. They say, no, I'm a prime minister or I'm a president. And I say, no, you're a dictator, but that's okay. But I bring them into the Oval Office, and they just want to look. They can't believe it. It's the most important. And they all have beautiful offices. They are in.
You're a dictator, but that's okay. That's okay. And look, it gets serious, though, because here in that disastrous interview that Donald Trump gave with ABC, and shout out to the interviewer. He did a really good job here, I thought. Donald Trump was asked about the tariffs on China, and Donald Trump just seems to have not even the most basic understanding of like even what a tariff is, how it works, why it increases the cost to the consumer. And Trump says, oh, these tariffs are great. They deserve it. China deserves it. Here, watch this.
Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're trying to say something's going to happen, Terry.
No. Okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes. So 145% tariffs on China, and that's good. Basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States. And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad. If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done to us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off. They're not doing that anymore.
I want you to think.
Hey, Brett and Jordy and Midas Mighty, America was leading the world. We had the best GDP. We had record job growth, 16.2 million jobs created under former President Biden, record low unemployment, 40,000 infrastructure projects, the most energy production in the world. We were leading. We were the envy of the world. That was the headline from the Wall Street Journal. United States economy under former President Biden is the envy of the world. If Donald Trump just did nothing in the first quarter, our GDP would have grown 3 to 4%. And the world viewed the United States as the safest place to put their money, the safest place to buy bonds, the safest place to invest in. And that's not because they were taking advantage of us. If they were taking advantage of us, they would be pulling their money out like they're doing now under Donald Trump, Brett.
And now I'm watching live feeds of the Los Angeles port, wondering why there are no cargo ships in the port. That's what my life has come to under this administration. That, checking the Dow futures, all these sort of ominous warning signs that you never had to look at before. I thought, and we know Trump's a liar. I'm going to start there. But I thought he was like kind of only a liar. I didn't realize how actually stupid he is until this interview, I think, because this interview really solidified some things for me, because there was that moment right there where he shows that like he legitimately doesn't know what a tariff is, like at all. He doesn't know who's actually paying the tariffs. China eat the tariff. That doesn't even make any sense. China can't eat the tariff. Or they're supposed to like give away money when they give away the product. How does China eat the tariff? What does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. Like it literally is just a total lack of understanding. Then we'll show later on the MS-13 clip when he actually thought the letters MS-13 were on Abrego Garcia's knuckles, and that they weren't just put there by, and I won't just say Photoshopped, because then they'll say, oh, we didn't use Photoshop, we used the Apple Photos app. But they put the text, they overlaid the text on his thumbnail, on his knuckles, and he tried. But Donald Trump actually appeared to believe in that interview that that was actually the tattoo that Abrego Garcia had. This interview really solidified for me, like, just how dumb he is actually, and that a lot of his lies come from his stupidity and the people around him not wanting to correct his stupidity. So his stupidity ends up being written into law. That's what happened with the tariff formula at the end of the day, right? That's what's happening with all of these various issues. And this interview, this was at ABC, right, Ben?
Yep.
This was Trump at his most deranged. This is Trump. This reminded me of, this was his inject bleach moment for 2025. That's what I saw during this interview. Or that interview with Jonathan Swan. Remember the interview during COVID where he said, it is what it is. It is what it is. His energy in this felt like that, but far more demented and incoherent. And he was lashing out because I think he was really called out and cornered on many of these issues because he was just flat out wrong on them. He was actually confronted finally by an interviewer who was willing to tell him, no, the sky is actually blue. And he could not handle the reality.
Absolute, Brett, spot on. Absolutely. Because what this interview showed is pretty much exactly what you just said right there, is when confronted with the facts and then followed up with more facts, Trump folds. He folds time and time again because he has nothing. He has no facts or data behind him. His only purpose is to surround himself with yes people that then pick up all of the messaging for him and allow the Trump message and the MAGA message to get out there for everyone to sort of just eat up. But when a one-on-one setting, you present the guy with facts and stand strong, like this is the fourth estate at its peak right there. That is good journalism right there. I give that guy a tremendous amount of credit. And Ben, to your point earlier, all Trump had to do, I mean, this is what an egomaniac, narcissist in chief he really is. All he had to do with the market is not do anything. Like he wanted to take credit for the Biden market when Trump was coming into office, right? When Biden was still president. All Trump had to do was literally nothing. But he is such a psycho and a sicko that he can't control himself at all, that he needs to put his fingerprints on everything, and everything he touches, well, we all know that expression, and look no further than the markets. Unbelievable.
Look, Terry Moran, the interviewer for ABC, did a really good job. And he also just did interesting things with his body also to kind of, and this is, I think, what was getting under Trump's skin also, to kind of assert dominance over Donald Trump. And look, I've been critical of ABC for a lot, but this guy was the right interviewer to pick, right? He's got the head of hair that Donald Trump like wished that he had. And as I'm looking at Trump, it's just so true. As I'm looking at Trump and I'm looking at Moran is the way Donald Trump thinks that he looks and wish that he looked like that. And I know that's kind of weird and superficial, but Donald Trump
he's weird and superficial. Yeah.
and that is an accurate analysis of what's going on. And Moran would do things, hover over him, stand up, like just watch this. Like even when Moran was looking at the Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office, which is not a real copy. So Trump has like a fake version of the Declaration of Independence that Trump tells everybody it's the real version. And he even puts like these like drapes over him to act like he's blocking him from the sunlight. It's not the real Declaration of Independence. But it's just like the most unnecessary thing to lie about. But then Moran looks at it and just says to Trump, he goes, what is the Declaration of, it's a brilliant question. What does the Declaration of Independence mean to you? Here, just watch this moment.
And of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar.
Yo, face.
The cut. I mean, that was something from that's what I noticed too. The cut back to Moran. I mean, that was great. That was great.
So for our audio listeners, Terry Moran looks at Donald Trump as though Moran just puked in his mouth and was thinking, how could you be so stupid? Out of all of your answers, you're saying the Declaration of Independence was about like respect and bringing people together. Like it's literally declaring independence. It's literally not about unity. It's about independence. It's like, what does Trump think that this document, what independence from what does he think this is? Does he think the Declaration of Independence is the Constitution? What does he think the Declaration of Independence?
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I'm pretty sure he thinks the Declaration of Independence is the Constitution. But everything he does, anytime he answers a question, it's like he's the kid who's has to give the presentation on his book report, but he didn't read the book. He's like, oh, the Declaration of Independence. It's like when you declare, and he could have just said independence, and he would have been more accurate with his answer. But it's it's like a declaration of unity and family. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, man?
It's the Declaration of Independence. Like, what, how do you even answer the question that way? But by the way, what we'll show you in a little bit, Donald Trump goes on News Nation. Stephen A. Smith, who for some reason is on News Nation and talks about politics now, he's the sportscaster. He asked Donald Trump, hey, what is your administration doing with Harvard? Are you attacking Harvard? Are you going after Harvard? And Donald Trump responds with Harlem and talking about black voters in Harlem when the question's about Harvard. I want to talk about that. And I'm glad that Democrats are bringing this up. Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries brought it up to me. Democratic Congress member Dan Goldman reacted to my interview with Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries on Fox. The Fox hosts got all pissed about it, that we brought this up. I want to talk about that and more. I want to take our first quick break of the show. I want to remind everybody to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're on our way to 5 million subscribers. As I mentioned earlier in the show, go to MeidasPlus.com and check out our Substack. It's the fastest growing Substack in the world right now. And then also, if you can, check out patreon.com/MeidasTouch. That's where we do our monthly State of the MeidasTouch addresses, where we hold Zoom meetings and answer your questions. Also, store.MeidasTouch.com. Get that pro-democracy gear, including that Maple Midas gear. Elbows up. Canada indeed went elbows up in that election, electing Prime Minister Mark Carney by selecting the Liberal Party. A liberal minority will be leading Canada, and Pierre Poilievre, the Maple MAGA, lost his riding in that election. We got a lot more to discuss. Let's take our first quick break of the show.
Life moves fast, and sometimes you need to find a way to relax, recharge, or stay focused without overcomplicating things. That's where Via comes in. I've been using Via for a while now, and I love it. I personally tried a bunch of their products, from their award-winning effect-forward gummies to their calming drops, and they've helped me unwind at the end of a long day without feeling groggy the next morning. Whether I need help sleeping, staying focused, or just taking the edge off after a crazy day, there's a Via product that does exactly what it promises. If you haven't tried them yet, you're seriously missing out. Whether you need to unwind, refocus, or boost your mood, Via is here to enhance your everyday and night. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers, Via is changing the game in natural wellness, blending powerful, high-quality hemp-derived ingredients to deliver real effect-driven benefits. Whether you're looking to sleep better, have better libido, improve focus, recover, or simply relax, Via has a tailored solution just for you. With products ranging from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, Via lets you fully customize your experience to fit your needs. Whether you're looking to support your daily wellness routine, enhance focus and clarity, or unwind with deep relaxation, Via has you covered. From their award-winning effect-forward gummies to calming drops, every Via product is thoughtfully crafted, made with organic, lab-tested hemp sourced from trusted, independent, American-owned farms. And the best part, Via legally ships across the USA, discreet, direct to your door, no medical card required, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. Not sure where to start? Take Via's product finder quiz to get personalized recommendations tailored to your needs. It could take you less than 60 seconds to complete. If you're 21 or over, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code Midas to receive 15% off, free shipping on all orders over $100. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via.
Look, starting a new business can be intimidating. I get it. MeidasTouch Network was not built overnight. You need the tools to help you engage in the day-to-day tasks, the growth. And so it's why we use Shopify. It made things easy for us. And I think you should use Shopify too. So Shopify is a commerce platform. It is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands like the MeidasTouch Network. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style, accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Even if you don't, easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling to the MeidasTouch Network. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert. And with its world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond, you can count on Shopify. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So turn your big business idea into boom, boom, boom with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Midas. Go to shopify.com/Midas. One more time. That's shopify.com/Midas.
This episode of the MeidasTouch Podcast is brought to you by Graza. And yes, it's my new favorite olive oil. It's fresh, never blended, and comes from a single type of olive, the Pascual, straight out of high-end Spain, where over half the world's olive oil is made. So what makes Graza so good? First, it's single origin, which means no mystery blends, just pure, flavorful oil you could actually trust. And the packaging? Game changer. Squeeze and spray bottles, no drippy mess, no fussy tins, just aim, squeeze, done. They've got 3 types: Frizzle, the newest one for high heat frying and grilling; Sizzle, your go-to everyday oil for sauteing or roasting; and Drizzle, a bold finishing oil you'll want to put on everything. Yes, even ice cream. Don't knock it till you try it. Personally, I love using Graza. It's perfect for when I'm roasting veggies. Super clean, super flavorful, and way easier than my old olive oil setup. I've also been making some amazing salad dressings with the drizzle oil. It's so good, so convenient. I don't think I could ever go back to anything else. So head to graza.co and use code Midas to get 10% off of Trio, which includes Sizzle, Frizzle, and Drizzle, and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. That's graza.co and use Midas, M-E-I-D-A-S.
Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Links in description of both the audio and the YouTube. Use the links, use the codes. If there's any exit surveys, let them know we sent you. And put in the chat right now if you've gotten Graza yet. Graza's been a fan favorite for the Midas Mighty, so let me know. Benji, where to next?
We're still on C for cognitive. That's very jarring when you just flash that image.
It's quite jarring.
Quite jarring. Maybe give me a warning on that one. Soon we'll be moving to C towards Donald Trump's disastrous cabinet, although I guess that's DC anyway. Donald Trump
showing Terry Moran's reaction to Trump saying the Declaration of Independence on loop, which is he seems flustered by it, to say the least.
Well, as he was when Donald Trump was saying that on Abrego Garcia's knuckles, it has the letters MS and the numbers 13. And Terry Moran is like, I understand that there are some people who claim that the tattoos that he has can be interpreted that way, although that's disputed because I'm not sure how the skull is a 3. He goes, but whatever. But it doesn't actually say MS13. It does not. That was either photoshopped or put on there using another app. You understand that, right, Donald? And then if you watch Donald's, like the way his body is and just Donald Trump's behavior, he's like, Terry, I didn't even want to pick you for this interview. Okay. What do you even mean? It says it. It says it. And it looks like a serial killer. I don't know. Like when I've seen those interviews of serial killers like on death row, right? And you see like the way their eyes are, and they're like, Terry, you understand, Terry? You know, I'm watching. I'm like, there's like real things going on here, and it's just one of those things that we comment on here, and all the people see it. So when we say it on the MeidasTouch network, people's reaction is like this. Thank you. Was I the only person thinking? We all think it. We all think it because it's happening. Here, let's watch this clip.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshopped? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you
sir.
just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and go on to something else? I have one other point I want to bring up, too. Well, first, let's show everybody, our audio listeners, we're showing Abrego Garcia's knuckles, and it's so obviously either photoshopped or someone typed MS-13.
I think what the person was trying to do was draw some sort of comparison, like the marijuana leaf is an M, the smiley means S, a cross means 1, and a skull means 3 for some reason. I think they were trying to say that this was a code, okay? And Trump interpreted this image as actually being a real tattoo of what's on him. And there were so many opportunities, Ben and Jordy, where Terry Moran tried to even bail Trump out of that one. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Ukraine. Okay. Do you really think that? Oh boy, let's do Ukraine. And Trump just kept pulling him back. No, we need to talk about this. Why won't you just admit that it actually says that on his knuckles? He would not let it go.
It's also because if you're actually thinking about it, it's super disturbing. Thank you for bringing that photo up, Brett, because what more likely than not happened was one of Trump's inner circle people showed him the photo, said, look, Donald, this says MS-13 right here. And they were trying to sort of tell him about the code and what that could be perceived as. But Trump, he only registered the MS-13 part of that looks very much typed on. If you have ever looked at a computer, like that is like the most obvious thing ever. That is,
it looks like it was done like in the Apple Photos app because
as they were trying to kind of show him whatever they were trying to see. And so Trump sees that and is like, oh yeah, I see it. It does say that right there. And so he couldn't get off of it because in his brain, he's just perceived that as Brett showing just wonderful Photoshop. Sorry, legit Photoshops right now. When Donald Trump is in this interview, his cognitive wherewithal, it's not there at all. And I'm not saying this to be rude or again, for dramatic effect. But when you see him there sitting with Terry, whoever edited that interview, by the way, was brilliant because at a certain point, Trump shows his knuckles, but it's off camera. And so they go to a wide shot of Trump showing his knuckles anyway, when Trump is in that interview, he's not well. And I think the footage really speaks for itself. But Terry at times is treating Donald as if he's in an old age home and he doesn't know where he is or what the topic is that he's talking about. I think that's kind of the strong through line of this entire interview. And to see it played out in such just like, here's the whole clip, everybody. Like, we're not clipping things to make things look weird. Like, this is it. So it infuriates me when corporate media just gaslights people into just showing bits and snippets here and there. That's why I'm so glad we have this long form show, the MeidasTouch Podcast. Subscribe on audio, where we could show these clips in its in its totality. Unbelievable stuff.
Wait till I show you the Stephen A. clip in a moment. The one thing I want to mention, and I'm sorry I keep harping on physical appearances. Why does Terry Moran look like 6 inches taller in there? Like the way they shot that. I looked up how tall Terry Moran is because Trump's like what? Trump claims he's 6'3", but maybe he's 6'1", 6'2". Terry Moran, the way he's sitting on the chair, looks like 6'8". But when I Google Terry Moran's height, I either get 5'7" or 5'10". So however ABC, someone needs to give me the real data about how tall Terry Moran is, because Terry Moran, the way that's shot is like towering over the guy, and Trump is like slumping. And so anyway, I've still been trying to pull that data, but everywhere I look, it claims the guy's under 6 feet. I don't know. So let me go.
I've got the best screenshot of this moment right here. If I could find it, it's actually perfect.
Yeah, pull it out. You want to pull it now, or you want me to pull Stephen A. Smith first? What do you want me to grab?
I'm pulling it.
All right. Okay. This is what I mean.
Come on.
The way the videographer either shot this, like, that's what I mean. Like, is Terry Moran here would have to be 7'2". He's the tallest guy ever. And they did this. I mean, whoever, like ABC's, you don't understand, because I bet you the videographer and the people who set this up are cracking up about this. And no one's talking about this.
Okay, so you know what it looks like. So I used to work for in film and TV, and I used to work on I used to work at a TV show, and they had a museum at Warner Brothers. I worked on the Warner Brothers lot, and at the museum they show you how they do like on the tour, the Warner Brothers tour, they show you how they do the Lord of the Rings shots, the forced perspective. And the forced perspective, they show you how like the people look giant and the people look really tiny, and they're like just slight differences that they do, the way they move the camera, the way they have the camera set up, the positioning. They have somebody a little in front, somebody a little behind, and it makes somebody appear like a giant and somebody look really tiny. And they did these real in-camera effects in Lord of the Rings, and when you do it, it's really cool. You sit there, you look like a giant next to somebody, or you look really tiny next to somebody. It looks like the forced perspective effects in Lord of the Rings that they have on this Warner Brothers tour. When you look at these images, like Trump looks like a hobbit.
Oh man, I can't derail the show and talk about. I don't know why I'm focusing on Terry Moran's hair versus Donald.
Look at the shot. Jordy, this is the shot you were talking about too, with his knuckles out.
Exactly the shot. Yeah, 1000%.
Okay, moving on. Okay, Stephen A. Smith asked Donald Trump about the regime's attacks on Harvard, and then Donald Trump talks about Harlem, and then you'll see. And by the way, Stephen A. Smith has tried to like suck up to Trump. He goes on Fox. He attacks Democrats, and he kind of plays it at both sides. I mean, he plays it both sides. But Stephen A. Smith is there, and I just want you to also watch his face, and audio listeners, you can't see it, but like Stephen A. Smith goes from asking this question in like Stephen A. Smith fashion, where Stephen's like, all right, let me talk about this, Donald, the way he does like the sports. And he thinks Donald Trump's going to like hit the question out of the park. And I bet you Stephen A. Smith is thinking, I've never heard a dumber answer in anything I've done, no matter what, whether I was covering sports or whatever. Like, what is this answer? Watch this go down. Let's play it.
Time. Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard, because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness? What do you say to that?
Well, I say this. We had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happened to be on my side. I got a very high black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets 4 or 5.
The people in Harlem powerfully support what Donald Trump is doing in Harvard. That's how he tried to fix it. And then he starts talking about black voters. By the way, Trump's support amongst black voters now is like 14%. Donald Trump's entire attack on Harvard, like its main premise, is to get rid of diversity and to get rid of black history and to like literally go after black people who attend Harvard. And he brings up Harlem. Like, can y'all imagine if former President Biden did any of it? I guarantee you it would be front page on the New York Times and then the next 20 pages thereafter. How do I know this? Because I've seen what they did when Biden was in charge, but whatever. I won't. That's a whole rabbit hole that you can go down. Donald Trump's the one in charge right now. We should be talking about what we are seeing. But you have this kleptocracy, right? You have Donald Trump with all of these clips that we showed you. And then we have the cabinet. We got people like Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. You have Susan Wiles, his chief of staff. You have Mike Waltz, not in the cabinet, but national security advisor, who was fired today and then moved to become the ambassador to the United Nations because Donald Trump didn't want to hand a win to Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, who was accidentally pulled into the signal chat of classified war plans by Mike Waltz. So in order to not hand a win to the reporter, Trump waited until day 101 to fire Waltz and then made Waltz the ambassador to the United Nations. By the way, he still has to get confirmed for that. And I think these senators are going to have a question or two to ask about him about that and the 20 other signal chats that he set up, and also his Venmo that was publicly listed, which included all these other reporters. Because I bet you he was a source, a reporter. I bet you he was a leaker. But take a look at the cabinet. Here's what Howard Lutnick's been saying all day. You know, Donald Trump's the greatest deal maker. They all like use the hands, right, to act like they know it. He's the greatest deal maker that there ever was. Let the deal maker cook. Here, play this clip.
The best line I could say is, let the greatest deal maker make his deals.
Yeah.
Right? When you don't bet on Donald Trump, you're making a mistake. He understands. He's got great people around him. Let him work through the process of getting a better deal from everybody else in the world. We're going to do it smart. We're going to do it thoughtfully. We don't want to raise the price of these things like little toys on the shelf. Why would we want to do that? We love Americans.
Yeah.
But let him build pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, steel, autos. Come on, let the guy build America back and trust him.
Jordy, wasn't that like, just let little Billy play soccer, okay? Can you just let him play his sport? He just wants to participate. And by the way, like, then he's gonna.
By the way, how about the juxtaposition, if you will, between former President Biden, never bet against America, and Mr. Nutlick over here, never bet against Trump? It couldn't be more clear who these folks are rooting for, and it's not America in the case of Nutlick. It's not. It's to line his own friggin' pockets.
Isn't that right there just a demonstration of like just the privilege? Just the way he even does his voice. Just let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Just let him do it. If he wants to do 100, just let him do it, okay? This guy, 145% the tariffs, let him do it, okay? He wants to tariff the penguins. This guy's a genius. Just do not question it. Just let it happen. You think he wants to raise the price of toys? You know, I'm watching this. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? And he does, because Donald Trump literally said in the Oval Office in another meeting, he's like, why would kids need 30 toys? It'll be 2 toys and it'll be more expensive. Who cares if their toys are more? Give him the 2 toys. Even Rupert Murdoch's New York Post front page was Donald Trump saying, this is a direct quote. For our audio listeners, I'm showing the New York Post front page that quotes Donald Trump saying, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls. So when I talk about Soviet style central planning, like, this is what they used to say there. You could have 1 doll per person and you have to live here. And could you just imagine Look, remember when Michelle Obama was just talking about voluntarily, let's do healthier lunches? They were like, how dare you attack our freedom? How dare you? Not even going into the fact that RFK Jr. is out there saying that he's going to uncover so he said, just spreading lies about autism. We will uncover the cure to autism in exactly 6 months, and we will report that. There are millions of particles in fetal tissues that are in vaccines, which is 100% false. Like, you have maniacs all around. And here you have Susan Wiles, Donald Trump's chief of staff, doing self-congratulations. I just want to congratulate everybody for the greatest 100 days ever. Here, play this clip.
I'll be brief so you can hear from these amazing people. Congratulations to everyone on 100 days. That's been it's unparalleled in my memory and best I can tell ever.
The best I can tell ever, unparalleled in my memory. And then they went from one person to another member of the cabinet, and they all echoed that. Donald, this has been the greatest ever. Donald, we've never had it's been an honor. Honestly, every time you give me a call, I get shivers how lucky I am to be part of this administration. That's like literally what it is that they were saying. We'll talk more about C for cabinet, and we'll talk a little bit more about what the Democrats are doing for C, change. We got to take our last quick break of the show. I want to remind everybody about MeidasPlus.com. Check MeidasPlus.com out. That's where our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, goes to work and gives those incredible daily summaries each day. Also, store.MeidasTouch.com. Get that maple Meidas gear, 100% made in Canada there. And we got a bunch of other great gear at store.MeidasTouch.com here in the U.S. But, of course, we got to make the Canada gear in Canada. Let's take our last quick break of the show. As I'm sure you're aware, from the morning to the evening, I'm recording video after video, hosting podcast after podcast, and having all of that coffee that you probably see me drink was causing me those coffee jitters, and I needed a change in my routine. So that's why I started trying mud water. It's refreshing. It's incredible. And it was just the right touch as we head into spring. It's right around the corner, spring, and it's the perfect time to refresh your routine as I refreshed my routine. Shake off those winter blues. And here's an easy change you can make. Ditch the endless cups of coffee for something better. Try mud water, MUDWTR. If you're looking to cut out those coffee jitters or avoid the afternoon slump, mud water is the perfect nourishing drink to help you power through it. It ain't your average cup of joe with a blend of cacao, chai, turmeric, and adaptogenic mushrooms. It helps you feel more focused without the crash. It's smooth, steady, and makes you feel better. Smooth and steady. I hope that's what you feel about my reporting here on the MeidasTouch Podcast. Ready to make the switch to a cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com, MUDWTR.com, and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal, up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use the code Meidas, MEIDAS. That's right, up to 43% off with the code Meidas at MUDWTR.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you how you found them. Please show your support for MeidasTouch and let them know we sent you. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with mud water, because life's too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy. That's MUDWTR.com and use the code Meidas.
If there's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking, it's with pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on having a great next day without worrying. Look, I won't lie. I was a bit on the fence about pre-alcohol initially, but then while hanging out with some friends over at our local brewery, I gave it a shot, and believe me, it's the real deal. When I first gave pre-alcohol a try months ago, I was at a wedding. I drank it before my first martini, and you wouldn't believe how on top of my game I felt the very next morning. This March Madness, don't let anything sideline your celebrations. Grab pre-alcohol before you go out and be ready to cheer on your team all day and night long. Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use code Meidas at checkout for 15% off. Let's go. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out Mudwater. Shout out ZBiotics. I was just in DC. I had a little work event out there. Yeah, it was very cool. Representing the Meidas Mighty, representing the MeidasTouch Network. It was great. Had me some ZBiotics before the evening activities kicked off. And I got to say, felt great the next day. So links in the description of YouTube and audio. Use the links, use the codes. If there's an exit survey, let them know we sent you. Benji, where to next?
Let's take a look at that cabinet meeting. Elon Musk is not in the cabinet, but he's basically been operating as a co-president who's been using the wrecking ball to destroy our federal government. Elon Musk shows up to the cabinet meeting wearing two hats, a hat over a hat that says Gulf of America, and Donald Trump compliments him wearing two hats at a cabinet meeting. Here, play this clip.
Great job, Kelly. Thank you very much. Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
Even my hat has a hat.
What in the Kim Jong-un glaze are we witnessing with this meeting right now? I mean, what is going on? Like, they're forced. Think about what you're watching. They're forcing themselves to laugh at Elon Musk's hat on a hat joke, and like at ridiculously high levels, like it was like the greatest Eddie Murphy stand-up of all time. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Exactly. Like I can't. That's why I say it's like North Korea Kim Jong-un meets the worst episode or the worst season of The Apprentice that was so bad it can never be aired. Because like, could you just imagine, even if they did this in North Korea, like someone just presenting themselves like that? Like, what if it was someone who just like literally dressed up like a clown? Because there's like, no offense to clowns, because it's really not all that different. Or like someone who dressed up like a drunk Mickey Mouse, or it's like a weird mask, like, hello, boys and girls, how are we doing? You know, when you watch the North Korea, hey everybody, you want to wreck a department? You know, I mean, because there's really not all that much of a difference between that and whatever the hell I just showed you right there. Yeah, boys and girls, I wear two hats. And this is the United States of America. So, like, what do you think Xi Jinping thinks about? Like, what do you think Zelensky thinks about? I mean, what do you think our European allies, who probably no longer even see themselves as allies, think about? Or Prime Minister Carney, an actual central banker who's smart? Or like, what do you think they think about us? Like President Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico, when they see that? Like, Jordy, your reaction, I just like, in other real cabinets across the country, right, across the world, they're looking at this and going, like, yo, they've totally lost it. Like this is crazy. And I'll just show you, like, this is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent from that cabinet meeting. Let's play the clip.
Thank you.
Please, Scott.
Sir, it's been a momentous 100 days with you at the helm, and I view this 100 days as setting the table for peace deals, trade deals, tax deals. So the next 100 days we'll be harvesting. You've created negotiating leverage and leadership that are going to yield remarkable results. Energy costs have plummeted. Mortgage rates are down, food costs are moving lower, and American families are finding their financial footing again.
Like, legitimately not happening. Pam Bondi, play this clip, Attorney General.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country, ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you. Your directive to me was very simple.
And if you want to see how state regime media is covering this, like, how do you think Fox is covering it? Well, Jesse Waters, one of their top hosts, here's what he had to say. Play this clip.
There's no doctor checking to see if he has Alzheimer's. The vice president's not lining up judges to swear in case the president drops dead. The vice president's doing what he should be doing, trying to steal Greenland. And so right now we're in a really good place.
Fox is saying the VP is doing what he's supposed to be doing, trying to steal Greenland, trying to take over a sovereign nation. I mean, what do you think they're thinking about that in the rest of the world? And then they invited in what they call their White House new media, all these right-wing propagandists. And this looks right out of the worst SNL skit. So let me just show you what went down this week from these right-wing propagandists. Here was a question that was given to Caroline Leavitt, where the person says, I just want to thank you for getting rid of people who don't speak English in my Ubers. I noticed that my Uber drivers are speaking English more now. Here, play this clip.
An accessible presidency in American history. So with that, let's kick it off. And I'm happy to take your question first, Aaron.
Thanks so much, Caroline, both for having us and for granting me the first question here.
Sure.
And I can attest to the deportations in Florida. My Uber drivers finally speak English again, so thank you for that. But my question for you is, what are the
Next question, will we see Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Clinton be investigated by a right-wing propagandist who is there? Let's play it.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the honor to be able to ask a question and provide some transparency for the American people. Speaking of, I wanted to reference the election integrity. A lot of people in America are questioning if there's any possibility that we could see further investigations for anyone that could have violated our election integrity rights. And more importantly, so is there any possibility for names such as Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton to ever just possibly get investigated for any of these, questions from the American people, for any of the wrongdoings they might have done?
Well, it's refreshing to actually hear a question on election integrity, because the legacy media would never ask such a question. They're so out of touch with where the American people are on this issue. And
saying that's a refreshing question to hear. And
so
then
those people, by the way, those people, if you look at the list on Twitter of like who are the top disinformation spreaders, who like gets community noted, fact check the most, who spreads the most lies, it's literally the people in that room. And that guy in particular who asked that question at one point was kicked off Elon's Twitter, like not even the old Twitter, but kicked off Elon's Twitter because he literally posted child porn onto Twitter. That guy was kicked off Twitter, and then Elon brought him back because the MAGA people were like, bring him back. No, he's a good guy. Bring him back. This is the caliber of person that they are putting in this press briefing room to ask these deranged questions that look straight out of North Korea.
Next up, I'm just going to play a short clip of this one where a MAGA influencer suggests that Joe Biden was responsible for rising suicide rates. And as I play this clip, sorry, audio listeners, one more time. You got to go to the YouTube and just look at the room. Like it literally looks like one of those SNL sets and the SNL skit. Here, watch this.
In the first 100 days is that the White House is crawling with kids. You have a young, beautiful baby boy. There are babies everywhere. There's so many young folks on staff who have kids. But the last 4 years under Joe Biden, parents were really stressed and ravaged. They had to take on 2 or 3 extra jobs. Depression.
All right, you get the point. I mean, that's what's going on in that room. And they want to replace the media like the Associated Press and Reuters with those people. Also, I should show you this clip too of Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Oh my God, he's the worst right now. He's always been, but like particularly now, at the cabinet meeting where he was asked about, well, what's the status of Abrego Garcia and these other migrants who you've disappeared to concentration camps in El Salvador? Marco Rubio goes, I'm not going to tell you. And he goes, and you know who else I'm not going to tell? Judges. They have no right to know what we are doing with these people. We will not tell the judges. Here, play this clip.
Etc.
Yes.
Would be fine, yes.
Secretary Rubio, can I ask you a question? You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to, but I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it because that's how foreign policy works.
Mr. President.
I mean, can you believe what you are hearing there from a secretary? You know who else I won't ever tell? The Supreme Court. Judges. We don't listen. He's saying it out loud. And again, if the Secretary of State under former President Biden went and made a comment like that, they would be impeached.
Yes.
And every Democrat would vote for it. And the fact that that line is kind of like a throwaway line in the cabinet, like not even getting attention. I just want you to think about what the question wasn't even about judges. He just on his own wanted to show off because Trump was right there. You know who else will never hear about this? Judges.
The whole tone of it too. It just sounded like a child. He like his whole inflection point. Like I was waiting for him to say, "I'm rubber, you're glue." Like do one of those because it was just so utterly ridiculous what we were watching.
Yeah, and look, his family fled Cuba.
Yeah,
and he sounds like a dictator. like that language that he just used is what they fled. We know who we don't listen to judges. We do whatever we want. We throw you in constant. That's what they did in Castro. That's what they did. By the way, a Trump appointed Judge Rodriguez in the Southern District of Texas, someone who Trump appointed 2018, 2019, ruled today that Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act was unlawful because there's no evidence Tren de Aragua, as harmful as a gang it is literally invading the United States as the law requires. Kyle Cheney was one of the first to report on that. And the judge says the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act invalid. A Trump-appointed judge. Another Trump-appointed judge in Louisiana said that the Trump regime inappropriately and unlawfully sent a United States citizen, 2-year-old United States citizen, to Honduras, deported a U.S. citizen. Another Trump-appointed judge in Maryland ordered Trump to facilitate the return of another Venezuelan migrant. Another Trump-appointed judge in Washington, D.C., Judge McFadden, issued an injunction against Donald Trump a month ago regarding Donald Trump's assault on the Associated Press. And Trump's response was okay, we'll just ban all of the wire services. So we're not just discriminating against one right there. I wanted to call all of that out right there. I thought it was very, very important. But I do want to end on showing you all the hope, the change, what's going on there. And I think we should talk about that town hall that we held here on the MeidasTouch Network. And we had 4 governors here. We had Governor Hochul from New York, Governor Healy from Massachusetts, Governor Walz from Minnesota, Governor Pritzker from Illinois. It was great. It lasted an hour. You should all go and watch it. It's on our live feed if you want to check it out from a few days ago. But here's what Governor Pritzker said. Let's play this clip from that town hall. Let's play it.
That's something that we're all going to have to live with until we're able to overturn the Congress. And that, in fact, is one of the things I want to say to everybody that's listening. If you're not out there protesting in front of a Republican congressman's office or out in the street making your voice heard or calling your friends in another state to have them do it or showing up in Washington, D.C. in front of their offices, those Republican congressmen, then you're not doing what's necessary to put pressure on them to vote the right way. This summer, they're going to be voting on a budget, and we're going to see the consequences of that budget. What are they trying to do? They're trying to lower taxes for the wealthiest people by raising taxes on you. Those tariffs, those are taxes that are put on working class, middle class people across the United States. And if we don't stop them, they're going to make things harder and harder for the very people that we as Democrats and all of our Democratic governors are trying to protect. And that's the working families of America.
Then in the House of Representatives, you have Democrats fighting back as well, like Democratic Congress member Dan Goldman. And so what the MAGA Republicans are doing in the House right now, too, is they're refusing to, I'm not making this up, they're refusing to even speak to the Democrats. Like no conversations, no debates. They just rubber stamp what Donald Trump's saying. And they know if they debate, they're going to get caught on an ASIN clip, one of our editors, ASIN. And so now what their entire move is don't discuss anything, don't debate, have no conversations at all, and then we won't get caught on a clip. So what the Democrats are doing is they're saying things like, look, raise your hand here if you do not think that children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported. Seems like a simple proposition. Shouldn't we all not want American citizens at all to be deported? Then with cancer? Kids? Seriously? Let me show you what went down on the House floor. Let's play it.
Your bill will deport more kids who are American citizens with cancer.
I don't think they want to answer that.
The silence is deafening.
Would the
It tells
gentleman
us
yield?
everything we need.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Let's do it a different way. How about this? Raise your hand if you do not think children with cancer who are American citizens should be deported.
You do not think.
Looks like it's all the Democrats and none of the Republicans.
That's where we are. Not a single Republican raised their hand. Like, that's where we are. And I think it was good that Congressmember Dan Goldman just showed that, because you could give any example like that and it's no longer absurd. He could have said, raise your hand if you do not think that Americans should be rounded up and killed by the Trump government if Trump doesn't like the way you look. He could have done any of those things with the same result, because that's what the House of Representatives has become under the Republicans, under the Trump regime, under MAGA. And it's up for us to fight back against it. It's up for us to call it out. I'm not going to show this clip, but I'll do a whole other video about it. Like the MAGA Republicans in Texas, in the Texas House and State Senate, they put forward a bill to ban, to do something that isn't even happening, that they know is a lie, to ban litter boxes from schools. That was their big initiative in Texas. So one of the Democratic legislators asked the sponsor of that bill, do you have any example at all, anyone, where a student has used a litter box, that you're now banning litter boxes? Name one. Just name me one time this has ever happened in the state of Texas. And the MAGA Republican goes, it didn't, but other things happened. Other things happened? What are you? How has this become our politics? And as we went through the machinations of Donald Trump's behavior, that's why. Look, let me be clear. Trump is a fraud. He is a lifelong fraud. He is a felon. He's a criminal. He is a criminal 34 times over. Okay. He's a sexual predator. He's a sexual abuser. He's been found liable for sexual abuse in a civil case. We've heard him on audio bragging about sexually assaulting women, and he said because he's rich, they let you get away with it when you're rich like him. We heard him do it. He threw beauty pageants for teenagers. Okay. We've seen him do that. He's bragged about going into the dressing rooms of people at beauty pageants and inspecting them naked, because as the host, he says they let you get away with it because you become an inspector. Okay. You've seen him. He is a vile, despicable piece of trash of a human being. That's who he is. And he's created this disgusting ilk around him that corporate news normal. Oh, they're Republicans. They're conservative. They're conservative, everybody. I mean, that no. What are you talking about? They're none of that. Okay. And it's for us to clearly point out what this is, because I'll tell you, the rest of the world is looking at this clear-eyed, while the United States has these fascist goggle blinders on that are pretending that this is something else. But but the rest of the world see, they're like, what is happening there? Brett, Jordy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it comes down to that's why, when we talk about this show and we speak about what's happening, particularly at this moment in time, it's really not an issue of left, right, center, whatever you want to call it. It's not an issue of Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, whatever you want. This is just like what's reality and what's fake. It's fact versus fiction. It's truth over lies. And what we're seeing every day is just this intense gaslighting campaign. And, it ties it together when you see those quote unquote new media briefings that they're doing, where they bring in the propagandists. They bring in the people who are the biggest purveyors of the disinformation to get in there to help them spread their disinformation. Because as I've said on the show before, the only way this movement operates or works, the only way it can survive is if people buy into these lies and if there are enablers. And so they need to continue to propagate these lies, because without the lies, the reality that lies underneath is really dark and also really horrific for them, really bad. Objectively speaking, these 100 days of Trump have been the worst 100 days of any president that we have seen in history. I'm talking about objective facts. When you look at economic performance, when you look at the stock market, when you look at relationships with our allies, it's not a Democrat versus Republican issue. It's not a political thing right now. It's, do you want to believe in what is actually happening, or do you want to believe in this fake, this fraud, this phony, and accept everything that he has to say? And that's the decision that lies before you. Hey, I know what your answer is here, but it's up to you to help continue to spread the truth. And so thanks for listening to, this episode and all episodes of the MeidasTouch Podcast. I want to make sure also that everybody out there, make sure you add the MeidasTouch Podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and by the way, any podcast app will do. Add it. A lot of these apps like Apple and Spotify, they also have a place where you could leave a 5-star review. If you could leave a 5-star review, write a nice note about the show, we'd appreciate it. Help us fight back against the quote unquote review bombing by the MAGAs who try to take our show down. You guys could stand up to that by leaving a review. It only takes a minute. And thank you for all your support. Thanks to everybody who tuned in to that Democratic town hall that we hosted the other day. We hope to do more of those also. I'd love to hear in the comments who else you would like to see in future events like that. I heard some people get all the governors. We can't have 50 governors. But we're going to try to do a lot more of those events and make MeidasTouch the go-to place for when you want to hear real conversations, when you want to hear real discussions about the most important issues facing our country. You know that you could find them here on the MeidasTouch Network, and that is our promise to you. Jordy.
I love it. I just want to add this one thing. When you leave that 5-star review and the little write-up, say hi, because it'll be like a little wink and nod that you made it this far in the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all the best. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty. Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.